And when he went through, it's hard to explain to people, but there was a time with Nonito, even before me, which was even worse, when he was fighting for $400, $600. What he got with me, at least he was making $2,500, and but even then, that's no money.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you leave work and train, and
Yeah.
you don't make any money. And Nonito Sr. went through all those hard years,
Mm-hmm.
and so there was a lot of bitterness. Then he was walking into $250 $250,000 fights, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when Rachel was coming in.
Yeah.
And he felt like, this should be some of my money,
Yeah.
and the family's money, and she's going to take, and it just caused a real bitterness right from the beginning. And I don't think she was ever given a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But to her credit, she at first she scared all of us.
Yeah.
In that, we thought she was going to be, very aggressive and everything. But once we sat down and everything, she backed off. But through the Mithelani fight, we were all afraid of her, honestly.
Yeah.
She was making phone calls, and she was just looking out for her husband. And I wish they could have all sat down, but she never got a chance. She
Mm-hmm.
never got a chance. And later she came to me and said, look, I'll do whatever you need me to do. I don't want to manage you. I don't know anything about boxing or opponents. I just want to be sure my husband is taken care of and not cheated, and I want to be sure that he's trained right and fed right, and things like that. And she said, no, I'll do anything to help him, but I won't overstep my bounds.
Mm-hmm.
So we've gotten along, and he's done well, and he's won, and Nonito always felt like his dad wanted him to fail, and that's not something I can get involved in, or you can get involved in, or anything. I know, in my opinion, and I just got done telling that, I don't think that's so. I think his father loves him to death.
Yeah.
I just think his feelings were hurt.
Yeah.
And he couldn't control himself with his anger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how it's gotten so bad. And to Rachel's credit, she's like, I met him, I fell in love with him, I want him to be my husband just because he's a professional boxer.
Mm-hmm.
What did I do? Why don't you accept me into the family and not, tear my head off?
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, and the way Nonito has been portrayed, it's almost like he's being portrayed as an ungrateful son. I mean, in your opinion, do you think, that's fair?
No. When it started, I went to Nonito and I said, because his father called me and he was upset about percentage and everything, and I went to Nonito and said, can I give him some more? And he said, and he bumped it 2%, which is not a lot of money, but it's, on $250,000, it's $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Something. And, he said, Cameron, I have no problem doing that. And I have no problem with paying my dad, loaning my dad the money, for his lost time at work and stuff. But he goes, but I can't pay him his salary to work, and I can't pay his living expenses, and I can't pay his food and everything, and then pay him, 12% of my purse too.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't do that. And he said any other trainer would work for me for, because he had people, it is. People start coming to you and said, I'll work for 5%, I'll work for 10, I want to train you. And he goes, I know he's my father, and I'll give him more, but I can't give him
too much. Yeah, too much is too much, right? Yeah, and
so
too much is too much.
He's never been stingy. He's always paid, and he always paid his father. He always paid me. He's always been so grateful to me. He used to say to me, and in fact, before the fight, even with him separated, we were up at his media day,
Mm-hmm.
and he was getting ready to fight, Concepcion, and and we were getting ready to fight and everything. Anyway, they had a media day up there in San Mateo, and he said to me, during the thing they were asking him, well, who's your trainer? And he said, Penalosa, and, he's training me and everything. Well, that's tremendous what you do there, and I go, Nonito, tell him who taught you that. Tell him why you're here. He goes, I'm here because of my father. I'm here because of my father, and without him, I'd have been nothing, and he pushed me when I wanted to quit, and he made me, taught me everything I know, and, I mean, there's no, I don't think he's ungrateful at all.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of bitterness,
Yeah.
back and forth. And I have everything documented from the fights, and he gave me money, and he paid for things, and he was not stingy, never has been, and that's unfair. That's unfair.
Yeah. So you think with all the things that's going on, that Rachel is kind of being the scapegoat for other underlying, more personal conflict that started from way before she even came into the picture.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and and again, it's not my business, and I don't know Filipino traditions or ways, or, I just know American ways. And when you send your kid to college, Dennis, and it costs you a lot of money, and he becomes a lawyer, a doctor, and he doesn't pay you back. He goes off with his life. He's your child. I have a son.
Exactly.
I'll never ask my son to pay me. Now, as a trainer, and he made him, and he spent a lot of time and money making him, Nonito, I think, is fine with it. And I know I definitely wanted him to be with father, and always did. But to say that you owe your brothers and your sisters and everybody money, I don't understand it. Maybe I'm just crazy, and maybe I'm wrong. But I don't understand why he owes them money, because he became successful. I mean, Glenn had the same chance, and he didn't make it. But if Glenn would have made it, would he be paying Nonito?
Yeah.
Would Nonito even accept it?
And it is not as if he hasn't given anything either.
No, that's not true. No, he's given. And again, I don't want to get into the mother. I don't know. I know, the mother, she's a nice lady. But I don't know that situation with giving the money to the mother and things like that. I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's wrong. It may be their way that when one person from the family makes it, they're supposed to give so much to the family and stuff, and if that's their way, and it's something they talked about, and that's what they said they were going to do, then I guess, he's held accountable for it. But again, I don't know that. To me, looking from the outside, from where I sit, I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to say you help your family and stuff, but Mr. Donaire was married to her. I guess he's not anymore. Does he give her money? When Samsona fights, does he give her money?
True.
Is he still supporting her? See what I mean?
Exactly.
Why? Because Nonito wins? I think that's really interesting. And I tell Mr. Donaire that. I think that's unfair.
Exactly. And I think...
I always... Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead, sir.
I just think that's unfair.
Yeah.
If he lost, then and he couldn't beat these guys, then he's not held accountable to give money. How about if he goes and then has to get a job? Does he give money because he's working for the city? Does he give money every week, every month? See, I don't understand that.
Yeah, and I think actually you called it. I mean, it's really just, I guess, a lot of bitterness that's boiled down. You know what I mean? That just, you know what I mean? It's just a lot of bitterness that's gotten way out of control. And I asked Nonito Sr. if there was when I was on him, I asked him if there was a way to patch things up, and he told me he felt that there was no way to resolve it. What do you think? What advice would you give father and son so they can actually, you know what I mean, work this thing out?
Well, I want them to work it out. I mean, it's ridiculous. Boxing is not forever. And Nonito wants to work it out. I can tell you from his side, he's always wanted to work it out. And he said, even if my father doesn't